I'm actually not worried about you guys. On the road again.
Yeah!
I just can't wait to get on the road again.
Yeah!
The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Like a band of gypsies going down the highway. We're the best of friends. Insisting that there'll be time on the road. It's on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again.
It's so low on this side right here.
I can't hear you.
I said, yeah, on this side it will because it's real low.
Okay.
It's not like the big cameras. Those like. But if you stand on this side, it will. Okay. All right.
I know that you're upstairs, and I'll tell you what you take is you're trying to make some sense out of the way it feels to be so close to you. So far away. Oh, I just wish you'd go to bed without the expectation that I'd come up there and say something to help you feel like things aren't such a mess. I'll just sweep the floor and clean your desk, put up the dishes and then fold some clothes, I guess. Oh, that's not feel like it's just simple. Thank you very much. My son with me tonight. I'm looking out for him. Hopefully he's watching the show. Okay, good. Good. He's a wild man. When you dance with me, darling, my world's in disguise. It's a fairyland tale, it's coming true. And when you look at me with all the stars in your eyes, I could waltz across Texas with you. Waltz across Texas with you in my mind. you came into view with your hand in mine. I could dance on and on, and I could walk across Texas with you. Walk across Texas with you. Across Texas with you, like a story book. I'm lost in your charms, and I could waltz across Texas like a story book. I'm lost in your charms, and I could waltz across Texas. I live here in Fort Worth. I'm local. Thank you very much. I moved here about 2 years ago, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. I feel like I've found a home here. Everyone's been really kind. But at the same time, ever since I moved, I feel like I don't know, I feel like we have a real responsibility here to do stuff, just to be us, and be loud, you know? It makes me delighted to see you all gathered here, and I'm very excited to go vote tomorrow. Once again, I'm not the main event tonight, so don't get too excited. But I'm just gonna play some more of my songs for you guys and just entertain generally and try and enjoy yourselves. This next one is a song I wrote about my small hometown of Lake Jackson, Texas. When I was a kid in Lake Jackson, there was really nothing to do. It was a very, very small place. And on Friday nights, we would all go to the skating rink, the roller skating rink. That was like the only thing around. And once a night at the roller skating rink, they do this thing called the couple skate, where you're encouraged to go ask someone to hold hands and skate in a circle to a Celine Dion song. Anyway, I wrote a song about it. It's called Couple Skate. Here it goes. Come take my hand, baby, hold on tight. I need a partner at the couple skate tonight. Always up your boots when they turn down the lights. I need a partner.
I got it paying in, right? Thank you, though.
We're just and that's all. But we're still having ourselves a ball. Please, don't you move too fast.
Yeah, we got it coming on tonight. We got it coming on tonight. Yeah, Channel 49 TV. Uh-huh.
Why we are here the night before early voting begins at 7 a.m. tomorrow. 254 counties in this state, and we picked Tarrant County to spend this last night to get us fired up to make sure that we win. Because you all literally have that fighting spirit. One of the first times that Deborah Peoples introduced me to an audience here in this county, when I was a no-name nobody from West Texas, taking on the junior senator from the state of Texas, she introduced me wearing boxing gloves on her hands. Hey Beto, we are in a fight right now, and we need a fighter in Texas, and she has fought every single day of her life for this community. Imagine her having her in the county judge's office fighting for us day in and day out. Let's get after it and vote for her tomorrow. And imagine having Salman Bojani as our partner in the state legislature, making this community proud. And Mark Vesey showed up a couple of weeks ago while we were knocking on doors. And look, some members of Congress, I get it, are really busy. It's an important job. You got to fly back and forth to Washington, D.C. You got to be there for your constituents. You're voting on important stuff. But he understands what a moment of truth we're in right now. And he wanted to make sure he was doing all he could, what he had, right where he was. And so he met me in his forefathers and foremothers' neighborhood of Como. And we knocked on door after door where they knew Mark, they knew the VC name. And people started coming out of their homes. Remember the Kennedy family? All 6 or 7 of those sisters came out, had grown up in there, raised their kids, raised their grandkids, so fired up to vote, they then signed up to go knock on doors as well. You all are getting the job done right here. It's why we spent election night during the March primary in Tarrant County. It's why I'm here right now, because look, when we all gathered in 2018 under Deborah Peoples' guidance, and you all answered the call, and you knocked on doors, and you talked to your parents, and your sisters, and your brothers, your friends, your family, your neighbors, you brought all of them out as well. Not only did we produce the largest voter turnout in Texas history since 1970, not only was young voter turnout up 504% from the previous midterm election, go young people. Not only did we help Colin Allred get elected and flip control of the House of Representatives from red to blue, elect 12 new state House Democrats, 17 black women to judgeships in Harris County, in the most diverse city in the country. But you and I, all of us together, Democrats, Independents, Republicans alike, allowed us to win this county for the first time since 1994. And this time, We're going to win it again along with the rest of the state and bring this home on the night of November 8th. You ready? And I know we're going to do it because we're fighting for the right people, for the right things at the right moment. For every woman to make her own decisions about her own body, her own future, her own health care. We're fighting to prioritize the lives of our kids over the interests of the NRA or the gun lobby or any special interests in the state of Texas. And those educators who find themselves so underpaid, so under attack, so forced to deny the true story and history of the state of Texas right now, asked to turn in the parents of the transgender students in their classroom and perform to this high-stakes, high-pressure test that in no way effectively measures the potential of those kids or the effort we're expending on their behalves. After we win, we're paying every educator in this state enough to just work one job instead of 2 or 3 jobs. We're going to ensure every retired educator has a cost of living adjustment every year going forward so you can afford to be retired. And we're going to treat you with enough respect when you say to us, look, I need more valuable classroom time with these kids, and so we're going to cancel the STAR test, allow you to focus on that. Make sure that you're helping these kids who just come through 2 years of trauma, 2 years of learning loss, 2 years of a pandemic where many of them have lost their grandparents, some of their folks have lost their jobs, many have lost their homes. You are literally trying to get them through right now. And the last thing you need is another hoop to jump through, another punitive test that determines your future, your fate, your fortune in that classroom or in your district. We need to make sure that we bring more teachers in and keep the ones we have. You all are our heroes, and we're going to treat you that way. For the veterans who are here, the women and men who put their lives on the line for this country, who served us and did everything this country asked you to do. And we spared no expense to enlist you, to train you, to equip you, to send you out there, maybe to lose your life, maybe to take the life of somebody.
Across Texas with you. you came into view with your hand in mine. I could dance on and on, and I could waltz across Texas with you. Waltz across Texas with you. Waltz across Texas with you. Like a storybook, I'm lost in your charms, and I could waltz across Texas with you. Like a storybook, I'm lost in your charms, and I could waltz across Texas with you. I live here in Fort Worth. I'm local. Thank you very much. I moved here about 2 years ago, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. I feel like I've found a home here. Everyone's been really kind. But at the same time, ever since I moved, I feel like I don't know, I feel like we have a real responsibility here to do stuff, just to be us, to be loud, you know? It makes me delighted to see you all gathered here, and I'm very excited to go vote tomorrow. Once again, I'm not the main event tonight, so don't get too excited. But I'm just gonna play some more of my songs for you guys and just entertain generally and try and enjoy yourselves. This next one is a song I wrote about my small hometown of Lake Jackson, Texas. When I was a kid in Lake Jackson, there was really nothing to do. It was a very, very small place. And on Friday nights, we would all go to the skating rink, the roller skating rink. That was like the only thing around. And once a night at the roller skating rink, they do this thing called the couple skate, where you're encouraged to go ask someone to hold hands and skate in a circle to a Celine Dion song. Anyway, I wrote a song about it. It's called Couple Skate. Here it goes. Come take my hand, baby, hold on tight. I need a partner at the couple skate tonight. Always up your boots when they turn down the lights. I need a partner
I got it paying in, right? Thank you, though.
We're just holding hands, and that's all. But we're still having ourselves a ball. Please, don't you move too fast.
Yeah, we got it coming on tonight. We got it coming on tonight. Yeah, Channel 49 TV.
And my old eyes can hardly see. You can lead the way. Just for me. Like two little kids, high on some water, round and round we go. Oh, out there, it's just you and I. Watch the world flying by in my right. Have a cup of school tonight. One will be my right. Have a cup of school tonight. Thank you very much.
To which I might become addicted, and from which I might die, as have tens of thousands of our fellow Americans. But there's something else that I could use, that relieves my symptoms, that allows me to sleep, that restores my appetite. But to use that in Texas makes me a criminal in the eyes of the law. That's why we're going to legalize marijuana in the state of Texas after we win this election. And because we know that all Texans, of all races, of all ethnicities, use marijuana at roughly the same rate, which, judging by your reaction, is a lie, right? We know that disproportionately it will be black and brown Texans who are stopped, who are frisked, who are arrested, who are incarcerated, who upon release have to check a box on every employment application form saying that they have this conviction, every student loan application form saying they have this conviction, every small business application form saying they have this conviction. That's why we're going to expunge the arrest records for anyone who has served time for possession of marijuana in the state of Texas. We're going to get this right. We are all sick and tired of being the least insured state in America. What does that even mean? What it means is that more kids die of diabetes in this state than anywhere in America. What it means is that the largest provider of mental health care services in the state of Texas today is the county jail system in the state of Texas today. Meeting a young woman in Lufkin, Texas not too long ago, and she says, Beto, my brother with untreated schizophrenia, who earns too much to afford Medicaid in Texas, but not enough for private insurance, literally gets arrested on purpose to go to the one place he can receive any kind of care at all, no matter how insufficient and immoral that might be. We can do so much better. We expand Medicaid, bring $10 billion of our own federal income taxes back every year, connect more people with care, hire more doctors and providers and psychologists and therapists, stand up some of these rural hospitals that have been closed down. We create hundreds of thousands of jobs, and the kicker is we can lower your property taxes in the bottom, right? You're no longer on the hook for paying for uncompensated indigent care. But how about this? Nicole Collier led a walkout from the floor of the House last legislative session because the Republican majority was trying to take your right to vote away. She even went so far as to travel out of state, risking arrest, maybe even losing her job in the process, certainly not for herself, but for all of us. 246 years into this experiment, which Más o Menos has gotten better decade after decade. Right at the beginning, you had better be white, and own property if you wanted to vote, and you must understand that property could have included other human beings. By 1965, we in Texas, through LBJ, had created the first true multiracial democracy in America. But nowhere is it under greater attack than in this state right now. In this state right now, it is harder to vote. It is harder to get your name on the rolls and be registered to vote than in any of the other 49 states in the Union. And to put a point to it, in the March primary, a 95-year-old World War II veteran. In other words, this guy was willing to give his life to fight fascism half a world away to defend democracy here at home. He had his ballot by mail rejected, not once, but 3 separate times. Now, I don't know if he was a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter. No me importa. But in this democracy that he fought to defend, he should be able to cast a ballot. So when we win, we're following Nicole's lead, and we're going to make sure that we have online voter registration, automatic voter registration, same-day voter registration. We replace this system of gerrymandering where members of Congress choose their voters with a citizen-led redistricting commission where the people choose the districts. And then this one, just because I think it's the best idea I've heard, we're going to replace Confederate Heroes Day as a state holiday with Election Day as a state holiday so you can take the day off of work and actually vote. We're going to get all this done. But first, and most importantly, we got to get past Greg Abbott. And look, if you see it from my perspective, this is a bonus. He is arguably the worst governor in the United States of America. And we get to run against him. And look, I don't for a second think that Greg Abbott wakes up in the morning wanting to see kids shot in their classroom, or for the grid to fail here in the state of Texas, or for your property taxes to have gone up $20 billion over the last 8 years. But after 8 years, it's very clear that he's either incapable of or unwilling to do the things necessary to make it better. So we just got to turn the page and vote for change starting tomorrow. You all with me? And if there's that person in your life who's like, I'm really struggling to figure this out, who I'm going to vote for in this next election, and listen, let's be open-minded about this. Let's welcome them in. Let's not judge anybody or shut anybody out, right? There are folks who do not have the luxury of following politics the way that some of us in this room might. They may be working too many $7.25 an hour jobs. That's why we got to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, by the way, going forward. They may be taking care of their folks, raising their kids. They're just busy with life, and they're just tuning in right now. I've got some numbers that you can remember and that you can share with them. This is Greg Abbott by the numbers. So the number 2, it was 2 months ago that the most extreme abortion ban in America went into effect right here in Texas, signed by Greg Abbott. It begins at conception. There is no exception for rape. There is no exception for incest. There is no exception functionally and effectively for the life of the mother. And it's taking place in a state that is at the epicenter of a maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times as deadly for black women in the state of Texas. Now listen, I know that some of us wonder, given how supposedly red or conservative this state is, how we could ever overcome this, even if we win this election. But it bears remembering that 50 years ago, abortion was just as illegal in the state of Texas as it is today. But no one rode to the rescue of Texas women from outside of this state. In fact, it was young Texas women who rode to the rescue of the rest of the country. Jane Roe, her 2 attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, those 3 young Texas women prevailed upon an all-male United States Supreme Court, and in 1973's Roe versus Wade won protection for the right to privacy to make very personal, very painful decisions on your own without government interference or intrusion. So here's my thinking on this. If Texas women won the way in 1973, they're going to win it back in 2022. You with me on this? Here's another number for you. It's now been more than 21 weeks since 19 children and their 2 extraordinary teachers were taken from us in Uvalde, Texas. 21 weeks, and this governor has done not a thing to make it any less likely that any other child in any other part of the state meets the same fate as those 19 kids did on that day. In fact, we've had 5 of the worst mass shootings in United States history in Texas just in the last 5 years, and the only thing this governor has done is make it easy for those who should never have a firearm to begin with to carry them openly on our streets. Those kids were defenseless against an 18-year-old armed with a weapon originally designed for use in combat, the AR-15, more than 50 years ago, engineered, designed, sold to the United States Army to be able to knock down an enemy soldier at 500 yards, penetrate a steel helmet, and keep him down dead. Those kids were not at 500 yards. They didn't have a steel helmet on their heads, maybe a baseball cap, and their parents could only identify their bodies by the shoes that they were wearing. But those kids were also defenseless against a governor who is more beholden to the NRA than he is in the interest of our kids, our families, or our communities.
Right.
So when we win this election, we're going to do some common sense things that allow us to defend the Second Amendment and better protect the lives of our kids, like raising the age of purchase to 21 for an AR-15, like a red flag law so you can intervene before it's too late, like a universal background check that just says, look, if you want to buy a gun in Texas, we're fine with that. We just want to make sure that we do a little due diligence to make sure you're not going to use it against yourself or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or some kid in a classroom. We do those 3 things, and we'll be able to save more lives in this state and continue a long, proud tradition of responsible gun ownership. Go with me. Got another number for you. It's the number 18. 18 months ago, the temperature dropped in the state of Texas. And in the energy capital of the world, the lights went out. The heat stopped running. The water no longer flowed because it was frozen in the pipes up there in your ceiling, which soon burst and rained down and ruined your floorboards, mold racing up your drywall, back up to your ceiling again. $10 billion in property damage done across the state of Texas because the guy in power would not listen to those who warned him about vulnerabilities in our grid and could not keep the power flowing to those who needed it at that moment of truth. 700 Texans lost their lives. And I'm talking about an 11-year-old boy in Conroe, Texas, whose mother could not pile enough blankets atop his shivering body. A 75-year-old Vietnam-era veteran who could no longer charge his oxygen tank in his house, so he rolled it out to his truck where they found him dead of hypothermia the next morning. Kids who died in the garage with their parents as they ran the engine to their car, or who burned up in their homes when their folks set fire to their furniture, which you would only do if you worried that your kids would freeze to death otherwise. While those people were dying, Greg Abbott ordered the price of electricity pegged at its highest allowable rate, not for minutes, not for hours, but for days. Gas soon started trading at 200 times what it had sold for the day before. Utilities went into bankruptcy. Others took billions of dollars in debt. And you know what? His biggest campaign contributors, some of his best friends, their companies made $11 billion in profit while people were freezing in the state of Texas. The kicker? The grid is still not fixed going into this next winter. You and I are paying higher utility bills, on average $45 more per month. We call that the Abbott tax in this campaign. Feel free to share that with others. But there's an answer to this. We win the election. We weatherize, winterize every part of the grid. We connect ERCOT to the national grid and draw down power. And for those whose stole more than $11 billion from the Texas ratepayer. We're going to take those bastards to court and get everything back. Last number I'm going to give you, and that is the number 8. That's the number of years that this guy has been in office. Whatever he seeks to scare us about today, whatever he says is going wrong in Texas, he'll try to blame every other person rather than accept responsibility for himself. We all know where the buck stops in this state, and it's on the governor's desk. So do not allow him to distract you by saying, hey, watch out for that CRT coming to get you, or that transgender child using the bathroom, or this. He'll try to tell us that violent crime is owing to Democrats who have not been in power for more than 2 decades in the state of Texas. I'll tell you what, we know why homicide is up more than 50% over these last 8 years. We used to have a program in Texas called License to Carry. It meant if you wanted to take a gun out on the streets, we're going to do a background check. You're going to take some training so that you're proficient in that weapon. We're going to vet you before you get out there. Now, in the last 6 years, 38,000 times, local law enforcement said, hey, you know what? This guy over here, that gal, too dangerous to carry that gun in public. They begged Governor Abbott not to sign permitless carry that did away with license to carry into law. He turned his back on them. He ignored them, and he did it anyhow. Now, every one of those 38,000 who were denied, and the tens of thousands more who knew better than to ever apply because they never would have passed, are armed and loaded on our streets. None of us the safer or the wiser for it. Homicide is up because of Greg Abbott, but there's this as well. Do you remember that press conference where he's legally signing into law a total abortion ban? And a reporter says, Mr. Governor, you realize there's no exception for rape. What are you going to do about rape victims? And he says, we're going to eliminate rape in the state of Texas. Remember that? Hear me on this one. More rapes have been committed in Texas than any state in the union. The ability to bring a rapist to justice has declined by half on his watch. There are thousands of untested rape kits at DPS headquarters right now. He does not care about life. He does not care about the life of the woman. If he did, he would do something about the rapists who are on the loose in the state of Texas, who have more rights than the women that they are violating in this state right now. And lastly, he's going to try to scare you about immigrants. And I'm so glad that we just heard Salman Bojani's amazing story of what it meant for him to be able to come to this country. It's the story of who we are. Mark Vesey and I were lucky enough for 6 years to serve with John Lewis, this extraordinary civil rights, voting rights hero, a champion for all Americans. And one of the things that he would say to us, freshman members of Congress, was that, look, all of our families at one point or another came to this country in a different shape. But today we find ourselves in the same boat. So your family may have come over here 15,000 years ago, crossed the land bridge at the Bering Strait, originally settled this part of Texas. A reminder that where we stand and sit right now was originally indigenous land, right? There are others who were kidnapped on a continent across the Atlantic in Africa, brought here in bondage, forced against their will to build the success and the wealth and the greatness of America without ever being able to partake during their lifetime. Their descendants are among us right now as well. And then there are those, like the O'Rourke's, who 150 years ago knew that to stay in Ireland meant to die in Ireland. There was a famine in that country that would ultimately claim the lives of more than 1 million people. And so they came to the one place on the planet that would take them in. It's this country. It's the United States of America. We are a people of the planet over. And our genius is that despite, or maybe because of our differences, we're able to make something very special happen in our communities, in our state, and in our country. So let me say this. These stunts of sending migrants on buses to Chicago or DC or New York, building a total of 1.5 miles of border wall, more of an art installation than it is a security device at the border. This involuntary activation of 10,000 members of the Guard who had a week to say goodbye to their families, to their kids, to their community, to their jobs for a 1-year deployment on the border that has claimed the lives of 9 of them so far. Not a single one killed by a migrant, by the way. I know that we can do better. And here's my simple proposition. And this is what I've heard from Republicans, Democrats, big city folks, and those who live in small towns in rural counties. We want you to follow the law when you come to this country. We want our laws to follow our values, our needs, and our economic interests. If you want to come here and work a job, say in those cotton fields in Lamesa, or the cotton gin in Roscoe, on one of the construction teams here in Fort Worth, in Tarrant County, there should be a safe, legal, orderly path for you to be able to come here and to do that, right? If you want to join a family member, and you're in Mexico today, you're in India today, you're in the Philippines today, where that wait time is 20 years to do it the right way. I don't condone anybody jumping that line and crossing in between ports of entry, but I know what that might feel like to have to wait 20 years to see a family member and why you might be tempted to do that. What about a safe, legal, orderly path to join your family, right? And then, for those asylum seekers and the refugees who are simply trying to come to a country comprised of asylum seekers and refugees, think about this. We have this unique capacity for empathy, alone in the animal kingdom. I mean, I don't know, maybe dolphins and whales have it as well, but I know for sure that we do. When you read a story, and there are so many of them, like the one about the 53 migrants who died in the back of that container in San Antonio, Texas, use that power to think about what would compel you after you had made a 2,000-mile journey, the length of this continent. You left El Salvador or Honduras, and you traveled on foot with your 11-year-old daughter. Some of that you got on top of, but never inside of a train called the Beast or La Bestia. And finally you get to America, to our front door, right here at Texas. And all you're trying to do is make sure that you and your baby girl are okay. And this smuggler or this coyote says, I need you to get back in this trailer. It's Texas, it's the summer, it's hot outside, and there's no air conditioning inside. You don't just step into that trailer, it's probably higher than your chest. Somebody's got to boost you up, or there's a step stool or a ladder. Imagine what it would take for you to get in there. And now imagine turning around and looking down at your daughter and reaching out your hand and pulling her up in there with you. You don't do this for kicks. You don't do it to come here and steal somebody's job or place in society or replace them as an American in this country. You do this probably because it is the only way to guarantee her safety, even if you know you must risk her life in the process. What if, for those who seek asylum in this country, who are now waiting 6 years to have their claims adjudicated in refugee camps in Matamoros and Ciudad Juarez, what if instead it was 6 months or 6 weeks to get them an answer, a safe, legal, orderly path to do the right thing? And then there's no more opening for demagogues like Abbott to vilify and demonize immigrants, to pit us against each other, to try to make us afraid of our fellow human beings, our fellow Americans, and our fellow Texans. Because I'll tell you this, in El Paso, we know what the logical conclusion of that looks like. The day before, the 3rd of August, 2019, Greg Abbott sends out a mailer to Texas, and he says about this so-called invasion, Texans, we must defend ourselves. We must take matters into our own hands. Not too far from here in Allen, Texas, a guy puts an AK-47 into his car, drives 650 miles on the 3rd of August, arrives in El Paso, posts a manifesto online saying, I have come to El Paso to repel the invasion of immigrants that I have been warned about. Walks into that Walmart, and in a city that does not lose 20 people to murder in an average year, he kills 23 people in a matter of minutes, telling cops afterwards, I came to kill Mexicans. Now, we are so much bigger and better and stronger than all of that. When we meet these challenges with solutions instead of stunts, when we ensure there's that safe, legal, orderly path, when we actually have a governor who leads and makes sure that we do the right thing at the right time for all of us together, we're going to be able to solve these problems. 2020. 125,000 have since entered the rolls. Young people who just aged in, citizens who just naturalized. 425,000 votes and voices we have yet to hear from. When we all ran together in 2018, we only lost to Cruz by 216,000 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, the margin of victory is in Tarrant County, and we gotta turn it up. Let's make sure that we vote tomorrow. Please sign up and volunteer. We love you, Tarrant County. Let's go. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
What do you think about this? Huh?
I think it's great that we have representation. Beto is the right man to go up against.
Wow. Yeah.
It's time for change.
Beautiful.
We need to change.
That's right.
Back out, guys.
Oh, he's still driving a regular car. Wow. So cool.
I don't know where you park.
Wow.
Yeah.
He do driving a regular car. He's not like no other candidate. No other major candidate that I know. I'm gonna get out his way. Beto. What's up, y'all? This is so cool. Wow, this is so cool. What do you guys think about this?
I love it.
I know that's right.
Most fun I've had in a year and a half.
What did you guys think about this tonight? Y'all love it? Are y'all gonna be voting for him?
Yes, sir. We're definitely gonna make sure we vote. We have a next generation voter right here, so we're trying to get her engaged with the process.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
How excited is this for you?
Very exciting. I love him.
Wow, that's amazing. Have y'all been following him for a long time?
Yes, we have. We've been following him on Facebook and social media, and that's just our goal. We want to make sure that we educate the next generation.
That's right.
It's very important.
It's going to be your first time voting?
Well, she actually can vote, but I just laying the ground.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay. Maybe in the future.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.
So, David, what did you think about this so far? I mean, it's amazing.
Great. I think it's good to have things like this to where the people can get close
Right.
and ask issues that's close to them to know what that will attain, that will affect their lives and everything.
Right.
That's great that he came.
What do you think about the fact that he's driving in a regular truck? I mean, he's
It's a
not.
regular truck. Was that a Ford or a
Yeah,
GM?
I think it was the Ford.
I can't. It was a
Toyota.
Toyota.
Wow, that's
Good
pretty.
truck. So
pretty
he's got
cool.
taste. He got taste too. So.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that's built in Texas.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah, it's San Antonio.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking
definitely.
about.
I believe that it was a good thing that Texas and Fort Worth get up close. And
Yes.
get involved in the process.
Right, and he's coming back on Tuesday night, and he'll also be here on the election night on November the 8th.
I will be there.
Yeah, me too.
I will be there.